I want to tell you the story of how I personally healed my food allergies, my autoimmune condition, and my brain fog and memory fog, which accompanied me for about a year severely and multiple years kind of less severely. And how I was able to do this, not by changing my diet, not by some new herb or supplement or protocol, although I did try many and I'll share some of those with you, but actually through mindset. And really confirming my suspicions, which were really in the back of my mind the whole time, that I thought maybe the root of my health and my health problems was actually based in my energy. And I'll explain how I got to that point and some of the resources which really helped me to get there. So first, let's give a little overview of what I actually dealt with. So I started to develop food allergies, food intolerances, as I was cleaning up my diet. I was vegan at this time, and I started to get sensitive to different fruits and vegetables, and specifically legumes and different grains, rice, oatmeal, gluten, dairy was out because I was vegan. And so I started to notice that a lot of foods, when I would eat them, basically what happened was I would get extremely bloated. And it'd be funny because I'd see other people eat and they seemed like not affected by it at all. But me, I was like, bloop, just sometimes uncomfortably so. I remember it was so uncomfortable at certain points that I would try and breathe in like a full breath and my stomach would be pushing against my lungs. I would wake up so bloated I couldn't even take a full deep breath. So that's pretty bloated. Now, other effects I started to get would be brain fog and memory fog, and I would get headaches after I would eat. It would feel like my brain would swell. I would start to notice inflammation all throughout my body. And it felt like it was localized to my brain. And this is where the allergic reactions and what I believe were autoimmune flare-ups started to get very intense. So I tried modifying my diet many different ways, cutting out different foods, really getting it down to very, very simple foods. I tried high-dose vitamin C therapy, high-dose vitamin D therapy. I tried supplementing with various things. Zinc, that actually seemed to help the most out of all supplements. Vitamin D also seemed to help. What I started to realize is my immune system was so tired from fighting because of these autoimmune reactions were constantly overworking it. And so when I would take something like vitamin D or zinc, it would kind of quell that. But only for a certain amount of time, it wouldn't work anymore. Tried tons of different herbs, tons of different detox protocols, and I eventually did a 7-day water fast, followed by a few days of liquids. I apologize for the loud noises. This is the loudest truck. So I tried that, and I was not able to find success through all of that in any long-term way. Eventually switched my diet to be omnivorous. I tried the carnivore diet. That seemed to help. Everything was kind of leading me in the direction of healing, but nothing was giving me that full dose of healing. And it's only once I started to read the book Healing and Recovery by Dr. David R. Hawkins that I started to see some shifts. As I was reading it, it was confirming my long-held suspicions. Basically, that most illnesses are almost auto-generated from the subconscious mind, from unconscious guilt. He goes deep into this, I think chapter like 4 or 5, into guilt and guilt's relationship to the distortion of the flow of the human energy in and along the meridian lines in the body. That was precisely what was going on with me. My guilt, which I held in various areas in my body, was contracting the flow of energy, and my immune system was getting confused. My digestive system was getting confused because the energy was not flowing smoothly. So how did I actually start to heal this? How did I actually, move into a place of realizing this and actually working with that? Because it's kind of like you have to do everything you have to do in the physical, and that will take you certain places, that will help you. But for me, that was always uphill. It always felt like I was externalizing my power. Like, part of me was like, why can't I just be healthy? What is this? So that's eventually where I got to. I'm not minimizing or dismissing various therapies. I went to an Ayurvedic practitioner. I went to a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. I got acupuncture done. I tried so many things. It's almost like the universe was like, you know too much. The universe was like, you know this is energetically based, so you can't outsource this. It wanted me to get that lesson. So some people will find relief. I think a large part of that is because of the efficacy of those practices, but also a big part of it is the placebo. Whatever you believe, you put your energy and power into. And I was kind of like unable to do that. I was unable to fully do that, I think, because part of my subconscious mind knew that I have the power to heal. That it's purely a question of spirit and of consciousness. So where did this come from? Where did this go? Well, I got to a point where I just got so fed up, I started to not put any energy anymore into this idea that I'm sick, that I have an autoimmune condition, that I get flare-ups. And trust me, this isn't easy. This is like, when you are dealing with this stuff all the time, it becomes part of who you are, right? So like my identity in how I would relate with people and go out for food, but I can't eat that. I can't eat that. I'd be like, I have very strict things I can do and cannot do. And I want to make sure I can rest after I eat because I would get those headaches and the brain fog. So it was built into everything that I was. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not easy to just be like, okay, it doesn't exist. This was not easy. I got pushed to my brink. I got so frustrated. And then I tried all of these different things. More and more they helped me, and some of them sort of helped, some of them didn't. And I got to the place where I just stopped putting energy into this whole pattern. I was just like, I'm done with this. I almost just don't believe in it anymore. Kind of like it's Santa Claus. Like, all right, sure, whatever. I have this autoimmune, blah, blah, blah. I just stopped believing in it. And it's interesting because I was reading in the book, Healing and Recovery, that he's just like, you just cancel that thought. I am sick. You just cancel that thought. It was to the point for me where I would eat like a shred of canola oil or like a shred of a cashew, and I would get full-blown flare-ups. Like my whole face would swell, my stomach, I would be digestion issues for a couple days. I would feel my stomach bubbling. I remember I actually had this with avocados. I couldn't eat avocados because my stomach would start to gurgle like for a couple days. So yeah, this was intense. Like, you wouldn't expect that would happen, you know, eating avocado, and then like I wake up the next morning and my stomach's like blah, 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 and I'm like, oh, what? Ow, why? why can't I just eat avocados? It's funny. Now, I stopped believing in it. I stopped putting my energy into it. I stopped giving it power. And I'm not saying you can just do this mentally. It's almost like a consciousness shift. It's like a consciousness or a paradigm shift where I was just like, fuck it, I can do anything. And what I did is I did an experiment where I ate pizza for 4 to 5 days in a row. And what happened is that pretty much what I thought would happen was that I would get way worse and my symptomology would get way worse. And it pretty much stayed the same. And I was like, that's interesting. And then at the 5th day, because of this is so outrageous, I eventually was like, okay, I feel super guilty. And all my symptoms came to full flare up. And I was like, whoa. And I tried experiments like this where I only ate Tim Hortons for a couple days. And throughout some of those experiments, my symptomology would actually quell. It would actually go down. And what I've come to notice is that I can keep on going on this this pathway of almost feeling unapologetic, feeling guilt-free, feeling like full allowance to just follow what my intuition guides me to eat. trusting my body's adaptive and resilient. And when I do that, no symptoms. Like, I feel great. I feel healthy. I feel vibrant. Especially the biggest one for me, the hardest one that really messed me up was the brain fog and the memory fog. Because it's hard to do this type of work when you have those issues. So that kind of brought me to a point where I finally realized that it was me giving my energy and my belief into that. And by putting my energy and belief into that, it made it more and more real. And the thought forms actually were emotionally affecting my body. The thoughts, beliefs, and emotions were affecting me. Yeah, so for me, and I'm not saying this works for everybody, basically I just stopped believing in it. And I started to believe in my natural inborn ability to heal. I started to believe in my natural innate health. Like, health is natural, health is easy, health doesn't require I take a bunch of supplements. It comes without any effort. I can eat anything and I remain healthy. And I'm saying this not to give you license to just like spoonful yourself with sugar, but more so because I don't do that, but more so to help you free up some very intense restrictions and constrictions that may be stopping the flow of your energy, which is definitely the case for me. I still believe that there's certain parameters to this. Sometimes I eat foods that I don't think are healthy, and then I start to feel guilt. And when I feel guilt, some of that symptomology can actually start to seep back in. The bloating, the digestive issues. But if I'm able to eat without guilt, and he explains this really well in the book, Healing and Recovery. Highly recommend you read it if you're looking to go deeper. Healing and Recovery by Dr. David R. Hawkins. If you really want to explore this avenue of consciousness healing the physical body, look into that. When I feel guilt, some of these symptoms, some of these energetic constrictions come back. But when I am feeling unapologetic, guilt-free, and just trusting that I'm resilient, trusting that my body is adaptive, and just be like, I'm healthy enough to have a headache. I'm healthy enough to have stomach discomfort. When I believe that, it's almost like it doesn't really appear. It's weird. It's kind of a paradox. So anyways, this is my story for you. How I was able to heal my digestive issues, how I was able to heal my food allergies, how I was able to heal autoimmune reactions, which were quite intense for me, as you know from my story, quite intense, to the point now where I can pretty much eat whatever I want within reason, because I'm still, I guess this was the last point that I want to finish on, is that I still use herbs. I still do fasting. I still do tons of other healthy things and stretching and meditate all the time. I mean, I guess that's one of the pieces, like probably why this might have worked for me, is because I do have such an intense meditation background and practice. I could make a whole video on that, just like working in the flotation tank industry for 3 years, going to India. This background in this consciousness stuff, I think really kind of set me to be able to be someone who could actually experience that. But I don't think necessarily everybody is ready to quantum leap into this space. So I wanted to just preface this at the end with that I still do tons of amazing healthy things. It's not like you throw it all out the window. It's just that you, or at least for me, I just stopped putting the power into that. And I started to believe that I'm strong enough, that I'm adaptive enough to handle the odd thing, or even the regular unhealthy thing, that my body knows how to process it. And that's what I always wanted. I wanted to know that I was adaptive, that I was resilient, that I was strong enough to do that. So yeah, sending you a lot of love today. I hope that this helps you, especially if you're on a health journey. I recommend reading that book. This is my experience. This is my story. It's not going to apply to you exactly. I'm just literally sharing what helped me get to the other side of my digestion issues. And I think at a certain point, if somebody told me this, I would probably dismiss it and be like, that wouldn't work for me. That wouldn't apply for me. So I just want you to be aware of that. It's so easy to want to dismiss this stuff. It's so easy to want to not believe in it. But I'm here to just remind you that you have other options you can look into and explore, especially if you've been on the treadmill of trying to heal and you feel like you're like kind of at your last legs. It might actually be the universe trying to awaken your power to heal yourself through basically the placebo effect. It's basically activating your own placebo effect. Now, can I do this for everything? Can I heal any ailment? Can I just magically heal anything? Probably not. Probably not. It's like a muscle almost. So you train yourself. You kind of slowly prove to yourself that it's possible. Like if I got pneumonia right now or something, I probably wouldn't be able to heal it right away. Maybe I could make it go away quicker than the average person through breathing and meditation and intention. But what I'm sharing with you is this is a general principle, and I believe you can get better at it. So I love you. I'm out.